Okay, putting yourself out there is absolutely required. If you're a creative person, if you're a musician, if you want to stand out as a creative, as an artist, as someone who wants a life that's a little bit different than your corporate 9-to-5, whatever it is. My name is Chelsea. I'm a musician and a mindset coach for the humans who play music. Mostly classical music, but this really applies to anybody. And today I'm going to talk about what it takes to put yourself out there. And I think since we have the online space, it has never been easier to do that and put your art out there, to put your artistry out there, to put yourself in this public space, right? It is virtual, but it is public nonetheless. And it can feel really, really, really scary. And I want to talk about this within a metaphor. Now, I've been making a lot of plant metaphors lately, like your playing is a plant. I have a video on that. Like your growth is a plant, and the environment that we create to best suit the plant that we are trying to grow. And I think that our career is also a seed or a plant. Okay, hear me out. A lot of people say you have to be your number one fan. And I agree with that. But you have to be your number one fan not after you get all the accolades, but before. And I do think deep down, we have this belief in ourselves as musicians, because when push comes to shove, there is not one musician who, if someone brings up the fact that like, that sounds really hard, like, why don't you just do something else? Like, why don't you just do music as a hobby? And why don't you just take it a little bit easy? And why don't you go into something else? Why don't you try something else? Most musicians I know will have a full body no reaction to that. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you're in the club. Most people that I know, when push comes to shove, even though this is really hard to do, become an artist in the world as a professional, thinking about not doing it is just kind of not an option. So I'm talking to you. If this is you, I'm talking to you. It's not an option. And I don't know why it's not an option. I kind of wish it was, but even if I didn't do flute, I would still do something creative. I would make YouTube videos. Hello. Okay. I would have a presence online. I would want to be someone who creates, who stands out. And that's something that not everyone wants, and that's totally fine. But if this is you, hear me out. And we're going to talk about how being your number one fan before even you start is absolutely necessary. So let's think about everything you create is planting a seed. Every interaction you have, every lesson you teach, every performance you have is a seed, right? Every post you make online is a seed. And at first, you're going to plant that seed in the ground, and a lot of people, this is what they do. They're like, I have this seed that I planted. You should probably take some of your water and water it, because look at it, right? And meanwhile, we have a bucket of water ourselves, but we're not watering it. We're just expecting other people to, right? But they can't see it yet. They can't see it like we can see it in our mind and in our body and what we know the future holds for us. And if you haven't decided that yet, it's a whole other process of goal setting, all of these things, knowing sort of what trajectory you want your life to take. But as we first start to put ourselves out there, we have to plant a seed, and we can't dig it up every day. This is such a popular metaphor, but I think it's really true. We can't dig it up every day. We have to trust that the nutrients in the soil is doing its job, right? Otherwise, we're going to disrupt it. And we have to use our own water first. We cannot be asking other people to believe in us more than we believe in ourselves. That's not fair. It's not right. And we can ask for help some days. But this fundamental belief, if we're not taking responsible for believing in it and watering it ourselves and saying, yeah, hey, I'm going to post this video and I think it's valuable, so I'm going to post it. Because if you don't think it's valuable, it's going to be really hard to put yourself out there time after time and consistently in the way that you know we all have to show up in this time-space reality to actually create something for our lives. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I just need to do it and then I'm going to close my eyes and hope, it's just not going to happen, right? Because not only are people not going to see the seed that you planted because it's in the dirt, it just looks like dirt. They're just going to trample all over it. So you need to be the one to cultivate the growth, create an environment for yourself through self-belief, through self-care, through self-concept through all of these things that help you in your belief that you think that it's worth it to invest in yourself, believe in yourself, in your art, in your creativity. This is really interesting because once people see that your flower is like mature and blossomed, then they'll be like, my gosh, those roses are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. How did you do that? That's incredible. Then they're on board, right? But you can't just get flowers. You have to plant the seed. You have to take care of it, even when other people can't see it. And that is where so many of us give up. And does this take a bit of, and I won't even say delusion, it takes self-belief unconditionally, right? Because other people can doubt whether you've planted something there. They can't see it. They don't know, but you have, right? You can see the vision of the beautiful rose bush. But what we can't do also is force it to grow a certain way. We can't say this branch has to go this way and this one's going to go this way and there's only going to be 12 thorns on this branch and then this one's going to have 5 flowers. We can't do that, which is kind of the fun of it. It's witnessing the unfurling of all that we've invested and put into these seeds, right? And the soil and the sunlight and the environment we're creating. And I think that that's so important to remember, that when you're putting yourself out there, you're planting seeds, and you never know when someone is going to find what you have to offer and think, oh my gosh, I see myself in them, or I'm inspired by that. I can't believe they did that. That's so cool. And you can think that now. You can just pretend, because right now you're probably pretending the opposite. You're probably pretending people are going to laugh at you. You're probably pretending people are going to judge you negatively. So water the seed, knowing that it will be a rose bush or whatever you want to call it, or like whatever flower, whatever, pick your favorite tree or flower or whatever, favorite plant. Know that it's going to happen, but also I want you to think about the time it takes for growth. And we just need to figure out what we're going to do in the meantime. All we can do is what we have in front of us, right? We can just practice every day. We can just invest in ourselves, and the quality in which we invest ourselves dictates the quality of the results we get. Check out my video on the back end of manifestation and why it's actually very logical to see that whole process broken down. But all we can do is feed and nourish the seeds that we plant the best that we can. We can't dictate the life it will take on. We can just create the environment. And we have to have the belief that it will grow, or else we're not going to invest in the water, the sunlight, the soil, the environment that it's in. So I hope that made sense. If you are putting yourself out there, know that it does take a certain amount of predicting the future intentionally and positively to put yourself out there time after time. We as humans have a negativity bias, and our brain is not set up to do this naturally all the time. And we need to be feeding our brain amazing high quality thoughts, taking out our brain trash. I have a video on brain trash also, in case you're interested. We need to filter out all the trash talk, all the self-doubt, and be aware of it so we can come from a place that we really love, because then we are so much more likely to share it with everyone. I always tell people, like, if I'm not in love with how I'm playing something and I'm just trying to do it right so people will like it, like, I'm not going to be convincing, because I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. Because there's so many people who are going to hear it, and every single one of them is going to have a different thought about it. And if I'm trying to please everyone but myself, I can't have confidence in what I'm doing. I'm trying to get their confidence, right? I'm trying to get them to water my plant. It's not going to work. So we have to water and nourish our own artistry, our own creativity, and our own content, if you're putting that out there, before we ask other people to do it. If we aren't doing it first, it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so difficult to get other people on board. So plant seeds. Every time you put something out there, every time you perform, every time you interact, every time you are planting a seed. Water it. Believe in it. Tell people about it. Get excited about it. And once it grows, people will see it, but it is absolutely dependent on how much nourishment you give it, and how much care you give it, and how important it is, and how vital it is that you take care of the seeds that you plant. So that's my little seed metaphor. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to take this work a little bit further, check out my journaling video here. It's all about letting go of all of the brain trash we might have and letting go of expectations and how we can do that and really take our affirmations seriously, transform our self-concept, and set ourselves up for the most growth possible in whatever way you're working on that. I will see you next time.